What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Movie Talks, the only podcast you need for movie news, movie reviews, and more. Episode 65.
You
Yeah,
65.
65. We've been in a bit of a Hunger Games of episodes for you. They're all fighting for which one's the best one. You could even say it's a ballad of Movie Talks
No, you couldn't.
podcasts.
No, you couldn't, because that's not what a ballad is.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, well, I guess the Squid Games can fight it out like the challenges they are. And then it is already, it's not even December yet, and we've already got Christmas movies popping off. So we've got the best Christmas ever with Jim from American Pie. So,
Yeah, no, it's November. November's the start of the Christmas season because it's when they defrost Mariah Carey and the songs
yeah,
all come
it's
out.
kind of like how they get earlier and earlier, where they start like after, what is it, Christmas, all of a sudden Hot Cross Buns start coming out.
Easter comes. Yep.
They just need to calm down. Stop trying to,
Yep. As
like,
soon as Halloween ends, Christmas stuff starts. As soon as Christmas stuff stops, Easter stuff starts. And then there's a bit of a lull.
yeah, it's like that, lol. Was that intentional?
Yep.
Ah,
Totally.
he just stopped.
Yeah. That was the end of my sentence.
Ah, there was a lull after the sentence. I
There's a
wasn't,
lull. Yep.
I wasn't
That was
sure
intentional.
if that was a rhyming joke or you were just like, he just stopped.
No, that was way too clever for a Roman joke, if it was intentional.
Whatever, mate. I'm a comical genius. But let's get on to movie
Speaking of
news.
lulls, yep.
Jenna Ortega won't return for the new Scream film, so they're trying to get the original Sydney back for her role instead to try and keep the franchise alive. Just
Sydney.
Was it Sydney? That was the main girl. Sydney.
From which one? Number one.
I believe so, but it was Sydney.
Well, so they're going to bring back. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with the name, but I'm surprised that they're replacing this young girl who is a bit of a ticket seller with a middle-aged woman.
It's a scheduling clash due to something or other. Yeah, Neve Campbell. Neve Campbell, they're trying to get back for it. The originals. I'm sure if Neve Campbell comes back, though, it'll still sell.
Yeah, I'm just surprised.
Yeah,
just surprised that that's the direction. Like, I would have thought they'd just replace her with another young, pretty girl.
Maybe they're in a time crunch.
Snakes girl.
Who knows?
Yeah, potentially. Doesn't matter.
No.
Sure. Okay, look, that's more interesting than young people. Is Courtney Cox still going to be in it?
I don't know. I know talks was around Jennifer Ortega sort of like taking over the mantle of the franchise. So I don't know. I mean, it was okay, the other one. It wasn't like overly exciting for that franchise.
What, 6?
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah.
It made me interested in watching more. I didn't, but it made me think about
it. Yeah. I mean, a Peter Dinklage who makes an appearance at this episode is the toxic Avenger is filled with itchy and scratchy type violence, says director Malcolm Blair. So I'm interested in that, the toxic Avenger. I do like
Peter itchy Dinklage. And scratchy type violence.
Yeah. I don't know what that means, but
like itchy and scratchy from The Simpsons.
Okay.
You know, the cat and mouse on TV where it's all just gratuitous violence.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Sure. Okay. Look, they need to do something interesting with it. Otherwise, no one's going to give a shit. It's going to be just another one.
Yeah, fair.
And Deadpool was successful because of violence and comedy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, maybe this was a smart idea. So Pete Dinklage is in that.
Mm-hmm. He's the Toxic Avenger, I believe. We've spoken about it before. Yeah.
Have we spoken about him being that role though?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't recall. I remember us talking about Toxic Avenger, but I didn't realize he was going to be the lead.
Yeah.
Whoops. I must have missed that, or I just forgot about it.
Well, another one of your favorite actors, Jason Statham. He is in his new movie called The Beekeeper, which is him being a retired hitman, being a beekeeper.
We did discuss this.
He did not get stung once. Not once while filming that movie. Yep.
Awesome. I'm so glad that's part of movie news.
It is. It's
He
part
didn't
of
get
his.
stung once.
Not once. Not once.
But is he actually a beekeeper in the movie?
Yeah. So he retires and then becomes a beekeeper, and then he gets pulled back into his life, and he stings everyone else, but he didn't get stung.
So like I'm picturing because recently the only thing I can think of is what was beekeeping
Was
is
Beckham? That's the only
Beckham.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm picturing like Beckham going out and murdering people.
With Beckham
It's a lot more
sticky stuff.
interesting. Beckham sticky stuff.
Yeah.
He's
Remember
only
that's
got 3 kids, right?
yeah, but that's what Posh Spice wanted to call it. And he was like, no.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
She wanted to name the honey Beckham sticky stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so fucked. I love her.
And a David Fioni has been promoted to
Yes.
Lucasfilm's chief creative officer.
Yes, I
So,
was going to bring this up if you didn't.
mm,
Um, I am all for it. I think out of him and John Favreau, one of them is making everything feel like Marvel, and one of them is just nerding out over old Star Wars.
okay.
And Favreau has gone down the direction of shitty, boring live actions and Marvel films. And I think having him at head of LucasArts more or less now, well, it's not called LucasArts anymore, but head of Star Wars is a really good step in the right direction.
Yeah.
I want that. Yeah.
Let's see how it goes.
I know,
I'm
I'm
keen.
saying positive.
Yeah. Well, Ahsoka was good. I didn't.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he had more to do with that than he did with Obi-Wan and the what was the other average one that came out? Andor.
Andor. Yep. Yep.
I don't know.
I struggled with Andor. Obi-Wan had
Mhm.
moments of really good, but it
And
was
season one Mando was all David, all of
okay.
it,
Yep.
and
That
that
was
was
cool.
just fucking perfect. But yeah, I'm glad he's great. I actually made this comment a while ago that I wish he was head of Star
Yeah,
Wars, and now he is. So
it's fair.
good stuff.
Tim Burton doesn't want sequel or a reboot for The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Good,
Yeah.
good on him.
It still holds up, like it's still a good film.
He doesn't
Yeah.
need a sequel.
No.
It would just be a money grab, like everything else.
Or a remake. Doesn't need it.
No,
No.
not at all. Animation's fantastic. That's a good thing about stop motion. I think stop motion is timeless. There's not a single stop motion that I've watched recently, even old ones that I've gone, oh, that didn't hold up.
Yeah.
Part of its charm is semi jank.
Yeah. So Millie Bobby Brown is in her new movie called Damsel is breaking
Oh
fairy
yeah,
tale tropes. And it's
yeah,
literally turns those upside down. Ugh, ugh.
yeah. It's a feminist sort of woke movie, I suppose. If it was being categorized by a Tate lover.
Yeah. I'm a Tate lover.
Well, it's a certain type of person, right?
Oh, all right, mate. And
All right, mate.
yeah, there's no need to worry about the Chicken Run sequel. It's because
Worry.
because there was a worry about a clay shortage. There is a clay shortage.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
A clay shortage.
yeah, they're short on clay, but you don't need to worry.
Okay.
Apparently, they got
I'm so
enough
glad to
clay.
hear.
Yeah.
They got
Yeah.
enough clay. I
Good.
would have thought clay had a shortage. It's so cheap. It's like one of the most abundant resources. It's just below, like it's so easy to get to.
Yeah. I don't know. Apparently, there's
Supposedly
a
there's a
shortage.
shortage. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great news.
There is I'm going to butcher this name, Nosferatu, will,
Nosferatu is Dracula.
will conjure vampire terror in Robert Eggers' old school gothic horror. It's a scary film, world of first image. It looks
Yeah,
very, very dark.
it looks cool.
Hmm.
I wish Nicholas Holt wasn't in it. Um, He's the guy from Renfield.
Yep.
I feel like he is synonymous now with anything like spooky. He's almost like Ortega. And
Well, he's going to be playing the new Lex Luthor in Superman Legacy as well. Old
sure,
Nicholas Holt.
okay, doesn't surprise me. He doesn't. I don't dislike him. I wish I could watch something in this genre that didn't have him in it for once.
Hmm.
But I love Bill Skarsgård, Willem Dafoe, of course. I haven't seen Lily Rose Depp in much, but bring her
Yeah.
on.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see. And the last bit is actor John Ackland dies at age 95.
I don't know
So,
this name. How you
um,
spell Ackland?
A ACK land.
Land.
So he
John
was
Ackland. Okay.
familiar film fans for the likes of Lethal Weapon 2, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, The Hunt for Red October.
Okay. I-
Yeah.
I'm sure I would have seen him. I mean, I've seen Bill and Ted,
Bill and
but
Ted. That was something. That was something.
all right, now I'm looking at John Ackland, the New Zealand coach. What
Okay.
the
There you go.
hell?
I didn't
Why is
know
he the
it
first one
was
to
a
come up?
coach. Who knows?
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, Joss Ackland. I looked up John Ackland.
Ah,
You said John. My bad.
okay.
Still don't know him, but sure.
Yeah. All right, let's kick off into our first topic of the day, which is your pick. And you're a big fan of the original, I want to say trilogy, but there's four movies. I'm gonna keep it. I'm
Original
saying
trilogy.
it's the original trilogy.
I
I've
agree. I,
I,
I will say it as
I've
well.
got a couple of questions, so I want you to kick it off, and you might answer them in your breakdown of this film.
Okay.
Yeah, because there was a few questions I was like in this film.
Oh, you want to
What's
ask them as we go, or you want to ask them now?
I'll ask them as we go
Okay.
because I feel like they'll tie in because they're about characters and how they tie into the original
Okay. I
trilogies.
might know the answers, but I have obviously not read the book, so there might be some things that I'm not 100% sure on. But
Okay.
I have had lengthy discussions with people who have read the books.
Yep.
So
Oh,
anyway,
let's give it a crack.
yeah. So this was my pick. As Ryman said, big fan of the original trilogy. I have the first two movies I watch pretty frequently, probably maybe 3 or 4 times a year. Um, I the second one's my favorite. I really like because there's more time spent in the actual games, and I really like how it goes through all the different events. And that's very vague. But you get my point. First one's still very good. First one is a movie I often choose to analyze with students because there's lots to talk about. It's quite well done, and it's very like on the nose and obvious, which is perfect for year nines or year eights.
Mhm.
So yes, this is a prequel more or less. This is still based on a book. I've heard the director talk about he will not make a movie without a source book first, which is nice. So it's very respectful of the original. Um, and yeah, this is a prequel set 64 years before the events in the first Hunger Games. So the story actually follows President Snow, who is the president we know in Katniss's story, and he's like the biggest dickhole in on the planet. And you're watching him like, how can he be such just a violent, angry person? So this is more or less a story of him as like an older teen, 18, 19 ish. So this is the IMDb Coriolanus Snow, which is the last time I'm calling him that because I just want to call him Snow because Coriolanus is just too fucking hard to deal with. Mentors and develops feelings for the female District 12 tribute during the 10th Hunger Games. This is very early in the Hunger Games history. This is when the Hunger Games wasn't yet a spectacle. You can see the difference in like the staging, for example. This is just a bunch of people in like a coliseum. Well, it's small, like a fucking, just might as well be a gym, really. A bunch of people in a small sort of hall, and they just fight to the death.
It looked like
And
a factory.
yeah, yeah, for sure. It's everything's very run down. That's another thing as well, is this is sort of set in like postmodern, sort of like 50, not set, but like the theming and the technology is sort of like 50s postmodernism, which is cool, but it also doesn't make sense to me because this is set, so Hunger Games is set in America, like post apocalypse. like way down in the future when society's rebuilt again. So
Oh, I didn't know that. I just assumed it was. I didn't realize it was
alternate
America.
timeline. Yeah, it's meant to
Mm.
be. It's basically America. You can there are like maps out there where you can see where all the districts are in America and stuff. But
Ah,
yeah, this is more or less set way down in the future. So the technology for me is like, I'm not sure.
yeah,
And the progression, like they seem to go from in this 64-year time difference, it seemed to go from like 50s technology to like way futuristic Earth. And they, I don't feel like the technology is right, but I still like the aesthetic. I still think it's a really cool setting, um, like visual wise, and I didn't mind it. All the CRTs, televisions and stuff. Like it's really fucking cool.
mhm,
So yes, this
okay,
follows Snow. I was really worried that this was going to be trying to make us like Snow and give us a sort of reason for his dicknish. Uh, but it's not. This is just watching him spiral
yeah.
and see how horrible of a person he is. And I like that a lot because the main character is not who you side with in any by any means.
He
Not to
definitely
get to
has.
spoilers yet.
He does have a good arc. Like at the start, I was kind of like, oh, he doesn't seem that bad a dude. Like he
Mm-hmm.
just seems to be. This was how he's raised. He does
Mm-hmm.
have some compassion, and it was like
Yep.
you're working in the confines of like what you know. And
Yeah,
there was
definitely.
there were some moments where he was kind of like morally challenged, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Definitely. In fact, he's probably one of the better actors. The I should actually know this, but Tom Blythe, the guy who plays Snow, did a great job. Probably my favorite portrayal, except for Peter Dinklage. But Peter Dinklage is a really good way of seeing the moments where you side with Snow and when you don't. Because in the beginning, Dinklage is this like you don't like him because he's really mean to Snow and like treats him different to everybody else, and his like he wants bad things to happen to Snow and his family, and you're like, well, why are you being such a piece of shit? By the end of it, that flips, and you totally side with Dinklage because all this time he's been trying to end the Hunger Games because it's barbaric, which is what you're trying to side with in the original trilogy. So yes, this follows this guy, and he meets the 12th tribute from District 12, and he has to be a mentor, and he can't pass this education program or some shit and get excelled and go to university with a scholarship, blah blah blah, unless he more or less wins his Hunger Games. And so he does so. He enters this competition. He's a mentor for her. They meet. They sort of start to flirt a little bit and whatever. And she's a ray of sunshine. She's from um
West
like
Side
a
Story,
gypsy.
Shazam, and The Hunger Games. She has three movies under her belt now.
That's it. Oh wow,
Hmm.
that doesn't surprise me. I didn't like her acting.
Lucy Gray.
Singing, incredible. I found that actually that unlike most things where they record it and then they, she sings on stage and they just dub it over. She actually sings all of the songs live on set, which is very rare.
Yes. So you
Given
remember
you know,
you remember Shazam? She was one of the bad sisters, and she's the one that was like
ah,
had the thing for the kid with crutches.
yes,
Yeah.
that's right. She was laughable in that as well.
Yeah.
Her singing's amazing. And I think there's so much power in because she says the line, I don't sing when I'm told, I sing when I have something to say. And every time she sings, it feels like she's just releasing emotion. And I
Yeah.
like that in her, especially coming from like a gypsy entertainment
Yeah.
family.
I really like the songs. The songs actually had
Mm-hmm.
meaning to them rather than just like, look, it's song and dance. Each song was
Yep,
like about something. It had a message. It had
definitely.
a number of things. And one of the songs actually ties into the second movie, the Song of the Rebellion.
The hanging tree.
Yeah, which becomes the
Yep,
the rebellion song, like
yep,
the
yep.
guiding force for that.
Yeah, it's a song that she sings, Katniss sings, and then they record it and use it. And yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Um, I'll mention now, actually, while you bring that up, there is a fan theory running that uh, Lucy Gray is. Do you remember President Coin, the woman who is like the head of the uprising, the rebels?
Yeah.
there's a theory that they are the same person. That after Lucy Gray, after the old her dies, this fun-loving, jovial, singing, dancing, colorful young girl, after her heart is broken and she's betrayed and all this sort of stuff, she turns to nothing but vengeance.
Okay.
And that going to District 13, which is underground and hidden, going there was like, you know, locked in that personality, which
Yeah.
is cool because there is so much anger between President Coin and President Snow, and you don't really get it. But if this is the reason, but it's not confirmed, it's one of those fan theories. But if it's true or if it has any merit, I like that theory. It's
Okay.
cool.
Also, why do they every time they speak to Lucy? Why is it always Lucy Gray? Every single time.
Because that's her first name, Lucy Gray.
That's her first name.
Yeah, because her in forget the word she uses. It's not coven because that's witches. It's like there's a word that she uses for what they are. They're like a traveling nomadic group. And they settle
Um,
from town to town. They're not actually from a certain district, and everyone there is their first name is two names, and their second name is always a color, and she's Lucy Gray.
because
And the first name is named after a ballad because they're bards. Hence, her last name is Baird, which is a play on the word bards.
it shit me every time. They're like Lucy Gray, Lucy Gray. I was like, just call her
Yeah,
Lucy. It annoys me.
I know. No, that
Yeah.
was her name though, Lucy
Okay,
Gray.
that makes more sense. I was like, I just assumed Gray was their last name. I was like, everyone else is just one name, and why does this person
Mhm.
always just got to have
Two
two?
names. Yeah, I know. If it was hyphenated, I'm sure it wouldn't like cause any issue. But I know what you mean because I was thought the same in the beginning. Hi, I'm Lucy Gray, and I thought it was her first and last name. But
Uh,
yeah, once
gotcha.
I heard, I think they do make mention of at one point in it. I
Uh,
may have found this out afterwards, but yeah, I learned some stuff about her family and
right,
whatever. So
right,
yeah,
right.
there's actually a ballad in our real world. There is a ballad of Lucy Gray, and supposedly, a lot of the story relates to Lucy Gray's character as well. Like she's actually based on a real life ballad, which is kind of cool.
Okay, okay,
So yeah,
gotcha.
first name from a ballad, second name from a color, and then all of her family, or all of her traveling people are called bards because they're bards. They're all singing dances and
Um,
whatever. So this movie is the spiral of Jon Snow, not Jon Snow, Coriolanus Snow, President Snow. Uh, and it's broken into three acts. So the first act is him meeting her and whatever, whatever, whatever. Second act is the actual Hunger Games, the 10th annual Hunger Games, and the third act is the aftermath of the Hunger Games. So we sort of need to get into spoiler territory, I guess, if we want
yeah,
to.
yeah, might as well. It's I don't think it ruins it doesn't ruin the film if
Well, you know
you
what's
go
going to
into it,
happen with, yeah, Snow's, you know,
and that's always a
he
problem.
sucks.
Yeah, it's always a problem with origin films after you've
Yes.
had a prequel. Like there's no real stakes at all besides some
Uh
like
huh.
information sharing. Even with like the Star Wars ones where it focused on Anakin, I was like, well, I know what's going to happen. Yes, there's some cool moments, but I was like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I agree because you know where it's going. You
Yeah.
know, you know who those characters are going to be in whatever amount of years.
Hmm. Yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, I guess spoiler territory. I would recommend it without a spoiler though. I think like I would just say now without giving a number, recommended. If you don't want spoilers, go watch it first. I think the end the end is best experience without knowing what it is. I still think so, even though you know where he goes, I guess.
Yeah, fair. It's fair. I reckon if you like the other four movies, you'll like this. It all
Mm-hmm.
ties in well enough. So
Definitely.
yeah. All right, let's
Yeah, yeah.
get into some spoilers.
So in Act Two, he gives her this powder that she can use in the games, and it's straight up cheating. You cannot give your tribute any advantage, was the way it's put. So Peter Dinklage is the one running the Hunger Games. Oh, we haven't mentioned another interesting character, the Dr. Volumnia Ghoul, Viola Davis's character.
Yeah.
Uh, she's interesting. She gives it a lot of energy, and she becomes laughable at times, kind of cringy, but her
She's
character
over,
becomes a super villain.
she's over the top.
She feels like straight out of DC. It's kind of weird, like mid 2000s DC.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they cheat. She wins the games. She probably could have won without this stuff, the way things go, because Snake's singing. But yeah, he gives the snakes the scent of her as well, with like a handkerchief,
Yeah.
and then the snakes don't kill her, which is not
Those
really explained.
those snakes are so dumb.
Yeah,
Like
they didn't look good
even
either.
no, the special effects. There was too many. It was
I agree.
far too many. Like they dump like thousands of snakes into the factory, and
Mhm.
it looked like just a mesh of CGI just running up people. Like it.
Yeah, it didn't look good.
It
It
was,
looked similar to the lizards in holes.
oh, that's a good reference, eh? Good one.
That's yeah.
Yeah,
CGI doesn't look that bad until it interacts with people, and then you're like, ooh. And
yeah,
that's in both these examples exactly what happens.
yeah. It's a good one.
Mm.
Mm,
But yeah, so she wins, but he cheats. She gets sent back to District 12, which is interesting how the difference as well in 64 years, how they're treated like they just toss back to their district rather than treated like celebrities the rest of their life, like Katniss and Peter are
yeah,
and Haymitch.
yeah.
Um,
Because the Hunger Games were just about keeping everyone in line. It was like
mhm.
we're going to punish you rather than like the big spectacle that it is in the original trilogy.
Yep, yep.
I
And I like
found,
because this is pretty much also the story of how it became a spectacle and them
yeah,
realizing we need to make this more like a sport than a punishment.
yeah. I don't know how I feel that it's like Lucy Gray was a entertainer that was forced to be like a warrior, and then you've got Katniss.
Katniss, yep.
Katniss. She was like a warrior that was forced to be a performer. Like they were, I felt like that
Interesting.
they were polar
Yeah, true.
opposites, like because they needed to be polar opposites.
Yeah, that's interesting. Actually, and made that connection, but you're so right. That's actually well observed. Look at you
Like,
go.
yeah. That's because I Hunger Games, my favorite parts of like is seeing them survive and like have to fight off and the strategies where I got
Yep.
frustrated that she was just pretty much useless.
Who? Oh, Lucy Gray.
Lucy Gray. Like I liked
Yeah,
how Katniss was
yeah,
like
yeah.
at least
Katniss was. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She was good with the bow.
yeah. And like
Yeah,
she used that to her strength where I felt like it felt cheap
yeah,
the victory
yeah, yeah.
for Lucy Gray. And I was like,
Well, yeah. None of the kids felt like it. None of the kids in this felt dangerous at all. That the games itself, Act Two, was pretty unexciting.
yeah.
I
Even the
thought.
gang where they were like they formed their little gang. I was like, they're meant to be intimidating, but they didn't. They just didn't have that sort
No,
of like gang mentality either. It was like, I don't know what it
no.
was. It felt underwhelming, is probably the best way to put it.
But the games didn't feel like watching the original trilogy. You really felt scared for Katniss,
Hmm.
like because you spent so much time with her, because the story was about someone having to go into the Hunger Games. It was like terrifying that the experience and knowing that you're going there to die. Where I don't feel like this had that because the story isn't about Lucy Gray. The story is really about Snow.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't have that fear. Like, and you know Lucy Gray is gonna survive. Like, yes, Katniss as well, but you're also wondering how because we're also learning so much about Peter and wondering how Peter and Katniss are gonna survive the first, and they both do, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. this didn't have anywhere near the tension of the games in the original. But it's also like the games in the original was the climax. That's what it was leading up to. The end of the games in the original was the climax of the film. The climax of this film is not the games. It's just more rising tension.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on.
Uh, the three acts were like so distinctively signaled that I felt like it was jarring.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't think it needed that either.
No, it was like we have that build up, which I quite enjoyed the start, like learning how they all get selected, seeing
Yep.
the bits and pieces, seeing the other side as well, like seeing all these, what would you call them, like college, I guess they're in a college or in a
Yeah.
student of something. I don't know what they're studying, but they're studying something.
Yeah, it
And
was really clear, but anyway.
like I found that interesting
Yeah, me
watching
too.
watching them go about it and seeing how these people, like, they were put into like a zoo, like a spectacle
Mhm.
zoo,
Yeah,
and it was like a lot of that was interesting. Like, no
I
wonder
agree.
people didn't really care about the games. Like, you're just grabbing the most frail looking people ever and just
Yeah.
not feeding them, not doing anything. Like, it was against the law to even feed these people.
Hmm.
I was like, okay, I get that it's a punishment, but like, if you're televising this again, like, there's got to be something. Like, whoever's your marketing team is not doing well.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Because it's been 10 years. This is a long time. And they never really like thought about it
No,
that at all, which is strange.
it's weird. And then all of a sudden, some kids like, here's some ideas, and they're like, "You're the greatest mind ever."
Yeah, you're a fucking prodigy. And all he's not saying anything that
It's just,
seems too out of the fucking realm of possibility or like fucking logical thought.
it's like all very,
Yeah.
very logical.
Yeah,
And
as he had that moment where he was standing up in the crowd and he's like, it needs to be a spectacle. People need to choose someone to root for and all that sort of stuff. I'm like, yeah, obviously.
yeah,
You're not wrong.
and like someone singing is all of a sudden like the most engaging thing ever. Just because you're a good singer, I'm gonna watch you. Like,
Yeah, everyone loved her. Uh-huh.
yeah. I was like, oh,
And in
that's a good song.
fact, like I'm kind of sick of instantly everyone liking the character I'm into like. Like it
Yeah,
was very much like Katniss. Like everyone loves her all of a sudden. I'm like, yeah, I've heard this story before. Why not
yeah,
tell me a story of someone who is not in the limelight, just very average. But she
yeah,
had to be beautiful. She had to be an amazing singer.
yeah,
Yeah, I know. I know. I do agree there.
yeah.
For
So
sure.
it was bizarre, and like old Snow had to be young and attractive, and they had to have a little love
Yes.
interest. They had to have
Yeah.
this. I didn't care about Snow's interaction with his classmate. His classmate was like real aggressive, and
Oh, the
they
one
had,
who was trying to like get it shut down and whatever.
yeah. So I don't care about you. I've got no connection whatsoever. I was like, I don't care that you died.
Uh what's his name?
His mate the, is the one that got hung.
Sejanus Plinth.
Yeah, he's the one that got hung. Yeah, and
Yes,
that's
yes.
the one that becomes the
By the
"Meet Me
hand
at the
of
Tree" song or whatever it is.
yeah, I mean the song is listed for him. But yeah, I know
Yeah,
what you mean.
yeah,
That's the hanging tree. Yeah.
yeah. I also
Um
didn't get the
his
cat.
third murder.
Yeah, I didn't get the Katniss reference where later on where there's this cabin that no one knows about, and they keep meeting, and she pulls the root up and is like, "This is a Katniss root" or something or other.
Yeah, she calls it Katniss. She calls the root the Katniss.
I was like, what are you trying to foreshadow here? Like, what's the reference? I didn't get the reference.
Yeah, I think it's just she named the root because they named something else. Just as like, I like the name Katniss because that's what Katniss is named after, the root.
And that's
So it's like
is that why Snow is always reminded of Lucy Gray with Katniss?
it's a coincidence. Just cat, like meow cat,
Yeah,
Katniss.
yeah.
Um, it's a coincidence, but it's also like it would drive Snow mad, sort of thing.
Okay.
Being brought down by the hunger tree, the hanging tree, a person called Katniss and the Mockingjay, because he's also taunted by the Mockingjay as well, multiple times in this, and he like shoots him out of the sky, and
Yeah.
you know, there's a reason that's called the because she literally is, as in she, Lucy Gray. Lucy Gray is an embodiment of a Mockingjay. She's a singer. She, there was all these reasons. I thought I was writing stuff down earlier, and then I forgot to save my notes. She is the Mockingjay, and the snakes is more or less obviously Snow.
Okay.
In the end, he can't help but bite.
Right. There you go. Kind of like you. You always bite.
Always. Let's get to Act 3 really quick. So Act 3 is them living in District 12, them hanging out, doing all their thing. And then Snow and her have to try and run away. So before this, Snow, he kills everyone. I thought for a long time it was for love, and he wanted nothing else but to be with her, and that he just started just doing bad things. But over time, you see, no, it's not that. It's just selfishness and power. And he says the line when he kills the first person he kills in the arena. He says it felt powerful. And Snow has always wanted power. It's not about love; it's about power.
Yeah.
They end up hanging out, doing whatever. There's a bit of a romance between them. They kiss, all that sort of stuff. And then they decide they need to leave and go to District 13. So they're up and out. So then they're talking, and he says, I killed 3 people to be with you. And she said, who's the third? And he's like, me. I killed my old self to be with you. Which is, he obviously made that up. She doesn't know that he killed, or he's responsible for the guy I mentioned before, fucking Sejanus.
Yeah.
So then she says the line, which I thought was dumb because it's too on the nose. She says the line, oh fuck, I forget what the line was. It was really on the nose. She more or less says, I'm a loose end. He says, no loose ends. And she says, I'm one. And then she's like, but I wouldn't tell anyone, obviously. He's like, huh. But then he sort of clicks to him. But I've heard that in the book she doesn't say that. I feel like they do put in the movie so that they're having to point it out.
Okay.
And then he has a bit of a fucking mental break. She walks, she leaves, she sees her running away, and he tries to shoot her. And we don't know if she dies. He hears her singing, but whether or not that's real or not. But it's very open-ended. He goes back to the capital. We see him go visit the doctor, the crazy Hunger Games person. And she asks him again, what is the Hunger Games? And he gives the answer that she wants, the power answer.
Uh-huh.
And we see him survive, be happy ever after in his world. Next time we see him, he's with Katniss, Hunger Games, etc.
Yep.
So yeah, that's where it ends. I think the third act was really rushed. I really wanted more time with them and seeing the romance blossom and make his betrayal a lot heavier. I feel like it was a little lacking because of that. I wanted this to be a mini series at this point because I'm like, this would be way better as 6 episodes of a show, rather than a smash 2.5 hours.
Definitely. It was lacking. Act 1's the strongest. Act 2, yeah. Act 3 was okay. Like,
yeah,
it wasn't bad. It's like a 3. It had problems. Like, it was okay.
Okay.
You'd enjoy it if you like the franchise.
Yeah, and I love the franchise. I think that's why for me it's like a 3.5. I nearly wanted to give it a 4, but there are obviously errors that I dislike about it. So there's enough things to bring it down. But 3.5, I had a really entertaining time. I thought the characters were great. I like the setting, good acting. Some, it's a good addition to the trilogy for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, now let's move on to Squid Game, the challenge. So this is on Netflix.
Sure
this is Netflix's attempt at, I guess, cashing in on the Squid Games name, because originally when I first saw it, I was like, oh, is this season 2? And no, it was it's Netflix's attempt at a reality show, which was also done previously by Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast did his own recreation of the Squid Games, which is actually way better than this.
Oh, it is?
Okay. Way better. So this is obviously, it follows Squid Games. They get a bunch of people. What is it like? It's like 500 or 800 people, whatever it is. Like it's a large amount of
Yeah,
people.
it's 400, 456,
Yeah,
456.
yeah. So there's a stack of people. They
Yeah.
get them in there. They throw them all together. The sets are really cool. They look pretty much the exact same sets as what they use for the Squid Games. But the biggest part of this that is a massive letdown is you know what the games are, and like
Yep.
once the nostalgia wears off, like red light, green light, yep, really cool. They did a
Yep.
little bit of a twist with the what was it? It's like sugar cane or whatever the biscuit is, where they got to scratch it out.
Yep.
There's a little bit of a twist on that. I didn't mind that.
Dolmio or something. They have a word
I,
for it. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't mind that. And then the third game sucked. It was battleships. Like,
Yep.
why is it battleships? This sucks. I feel like
Just battleships.
you playing it might feel more intense, more like, will I get through this? But there was no tension in that game, which sucked.
No.
Like,
And they had to speed it up so much. Like the other games they dragged out to add more tension. Whereas this one they sped up because there is no tension. They just want to
yeah.
make it as fast as possible.
So I feel this, to me, the people that are in there, like, they feel like actors trying to play real people.
Yes. Yes, guaranteed there's some actors there.
They are actors, because I was
There
like,
has to be.
they feel so fake.
Yeah,
Like,
there has to be. There
couldn't
has to be because there's no fucking way that if you got a sample size of 456 people and made them play red light, green light, I don't think that 300 of them would lose. It's a child's game. You run until you need to stand still. Over
yeah, but
half?
it's not even that. The ones that they actually showed you, I was like, I don't connect with you at all. There's something
Yeah,
off
yeah.
about every single person they are showing. I'm
Yeah, I'm
like,
just saying that feels scripted, but you're right. Like, and straight away, because you met this one woman, and you get all this backstory about her and why she wants to win the money and whatever, and then she dies straight away, and it's meant to be like, oh, nobody's safe, anybody could lose, but she was a fucking actor. You could tell she was an actor.
she was a plant, right? Has to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think others are as well.
Like
I think
the
all
son and the
three too.
mum. I was like,
Yeah,
I don't think you're your mother and son. I feel like you've just been thrown together. You've got an old lady and
it feels that way.
like there was no chemistry or bond between
No,
two people that know each other. It was like, oh no, my mum, but every time they showed you, you like, your face was in your hands, and I was like, is that because you
yeah.
don't really care, or like,
You think of the way you talk to your mother as well. Like there's a shorthand. There's inside jokes. There's a to and fro to your conversation that's just natural, and
yeah,
it doesn't feel like that at all with his mum.
yeah, it was weird. Even the so-called like jocks or whatever, I was like, okay, you've put all the jocks together and you're doing push-ups. I was
Yeah,
like, this doesn't feel like a natural progression.
it's weird,
Like,
and
it's
like it's weird in the fact that this is what nerds in a room would write for jock characters, or they'll get together and they start exercising. I don't think so.
it was so weird. The whole thing was weird. The characters are not likable. Like, I really like Survivor. I like The Amazing Race. And those
Yeah,
people, even when they get like celebrities on there, like, they still get celebrities that are like friends with each other. Everyone on this didn't feel like they knew each other at all. Obviously, like, you had the mother and son, but the rest of the people don't know each other. But they don't feel like real people.
no. In fact, how quickly they went from uh, you know, really awkward in front of a camera and really awkward around people to all of a sudden they're all just hanging out and talking and everyone knows everyone. And I feel like there's too many people for that. Everyone knew when that one guy thing happened when they were picking the people for the sugar licking thing. Um Everyone knew one person. It wasn't 432. I guess people would know him because he's a bit of a dick. But yeah, there's something happened and everyone knew that person. I'm like, there's no way that 200 people in a room for 24 hours would know every single person in that room.
Yeah.
There's just, it's not going to happen.
No. That's just.
Yeah. You're right, because that to me was the biggest thing about this. Like they didn't feel like real people. I didn't know what I was allowed to believe as true. Like I felt foolish for believing that any of it was real. If whenever I'd started feeling like it was real,
Yeah.
like that's not a good thing to make your audience feel.
No. Like I got so over it to the point where I skimmed through it. I was like, I don't care
Yeah,
about you guys. You don't feel like real people. I'm not
yeah,
investing in any of you. Even the way you
mhm,
talk, like you're literally just reading script. Like you've memorized a bit of script to be able to talk to a
yeah,
camera.
yeah.
And it's just, I was like, nah, I skipped through it. So
Exactly how it feels. Uh-huh.
the
And how
episodes
like go on.
episodes are long, like
They
they're
feel long.
50 odd minutes,
Hmm.
and they drag out everything.
Yeah. This is
Everything.
impossible to watch without a phone in your hand. If you're just sitting there watching it, you're an insane person.
Yeah.
There's no entertaining. No,
No.
no.
It's
It's
bad.
cringy. At moments it was genuinely cringy.
Yep.
Like the way they made red light, green light feel like a fucking dramatic war scene. Like
Oh,
Jesus
with the
Christ.
thing exploding, the black ink packet
Yeah,
or
they have
whatever.
like die packs. They're that's the same thing that they use when people get shot in movies. They have like packs under their shirt that are
Yeah.
timed to pop, and they
Yeah.
have these black dye because they can't use red because then it wouldn't be look it would look too scary. There's like
Yeah.
black dye and
And
yeah,
like
it
every time they cut to the people in the control room, like it's dramatic if we show them press the
oh I
button and it
know.
explodes. Like you can do that once, and I was like, oh, okay, that's a
I
nice way to
know.
do it. But then every single time, it's like,
No.
oh,
And it's so blaringly obvious that they literally just got into those people into a room with a bunch of arcade cabinets and filmed them pressing a bunch of random buttons, and then the editing floor they fucking make it look like their button, like it's so clear that that's what's happening. There's no part of me that has any suspension of disbelief and being like, oh, they're controlling the game, those people are pressing buttons to do things. No, they're fucking not. A bunch of people in the control room who are like all show writers, and yeah, really dumb. The only part that made me think it was real was when people got shot in quotes, they had to like pretend to die, and a few of them looked genuinely shocked when the thing went off, and then they had like they smiled and realized they had to like lay down or pretend to be dead. And yeah, I felt like that was somewhat genuine, but again, actors can
yeah.
act, and they can also be surprised when things go off on their chest.
They could also get like pretty average actors. Like
Mm-hmm.
you just
That's
go
the
to
point, I guess.
an acting one of those amateur acting schools or whatever, and is like, we need 100 actors.
400. Yeah.
Yeah,
Give me
it's just
whoever.
yeah, like it was hard to watch. But I also don't
Mm-hmm.
understand how Mr. Beast got so much backlash of him recreating the Squid Games, and yet Netflix do it, and everyone's like, "Oh, okay, cool,
Why did he cop backlash? Because he doesn't own it, or what?
yeah, something like that." I
Well,
can't,
because
can't,
Netflix owns Squid Game, so
yeah,
they can do it.
yeah. But he was, yeah, I don't know, whatever. I don't know. It's
If
just
the backlash was copyright, then yeah, he needs to be careful.
uh,
But Squid Game is literally owned by Netflix. Like it's a Netflix film, Netflix production.
right. I don't know. I don't know. So
Uh,
the whole thing sucked.
yeah, like you said earlier, every single person in this is a piece of shit. There's no one to like, and there's so many people. Like by the time you don't want to actually get remotely attached to anyone because anyone can be eliminated at any point through the most dumb means possible. Like it just seems unfair, and there's no reason to get attached to anyone. There's way too many people.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, this is bad. I'm trying to look through my notes now.
It
It's
was
rigged. I can't give a shit. Yeah,
yeah.
35 minutes is what I lasted in the first episode before I had to stop. 35 minutes, and
Okay.
then I'd force myself back into it. I
Yeah.
literally stopped watching, and this is a spoiler, but who gives a fuck? There's one character, I'm gonna say character because he's not a fucking real person. 432 is this douchebag, selfish, up himself piece of shit, and like alpha male mentality, you know.
Mhm.
And he gets eliminated finally, partway through episode 3 in Battleship. As soon as he was eliminated, and as soon as I knew he was gone and his light turned off, I stopped watching. I wanted him to leave. That's all I cared about.
Yeah.
And as soon as that happened, I'm like, well, I've lost all interest in any other characters because he was a bad guy. He was the only person I cared about, in quotes, because he was a person that I disliked. So I wanted him to not be successful. And as soon as he wasn't, I was like, well, now I've lost any interest in any other character.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just turning it off.
Yep. Yeah. This was
Hope your
bad.
algorithm can see that. It's
I
very
got
bad, very
I,
boring.
I got nothing good to say about this. It's
No,
besides the recreation of the scenes, or if they use the actual scenes that they filmed on for the show, it's one.
yep,
Yep.
yep. I think that's
That's it.
fair.
That's it.
I think every single problem with this comes back to the fact that they're trying to put 400 people into a reality TV show and make us care about any of them.
But like
It's
they
whether they're actors or not
like
comes back to the fact that they have so many people.
Physical 100 did pretty well. Like you cared
That's
about
100.
a reasonable amount. It was
That's
like
still a quarter of the people that are in this.
true.
Like 20% of the people that are in, or 22%.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's just, it's too much. And because there's so many people in it, a lot makes you, like you said, makes you feel like a lot of them are actors. And if whether they are or not, I can't give a shit about them. There's so many people. If it was 100, maybe if I would prefer like 20,
Yeah.
and then each episode someone gets eliminated. You care so much about the people if you have time to spend with the people.
Yeah.
There's many people you can't. You just
It,
can't. So
it doesn't work.
no, I couldn't give a shit. So yeah, I won.
Yeah.
Sets are cool.
Yeah.
Sets are pretty interesting. Some of them.
Yeah.
One and a little bit. One and like a two. 1.2.
Okay.
1.1.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time. It's very, very boring.
Okay.
Watch it with the phone.
No, just don't watch it. Watch the
Yeah.
original Squid Games or Mr. Beast's Squid Games, and then it's more interesting.
Yeah, that sounds more interesting.
At least Mr. Beast has got fast editing, and it's not like 3 hours
Yeah.
out of your life.
Yeah, yeah. It's built for built for people on the spectrum for sure. An ADHD generation.
Yep. All
Mm.
right, let's move on to best Christmas ever, the
Woo!
newest Christmas original on Netflix. So
I
this
bet.
is friendships are put to the ultimate test over a boastful holiday newsletter.
Sure.
Yep. So
Was this my pick?
yeah,
I guess so.
I think so. I think this was your pick.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
It's what I expected it to be. It's
it is.
horrible.
It is. It is very, very horrible. It
It is.
stars Heather Graham, Brandy Norwood, and Jason Briggs.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
So
Matt Cedeno, who the fuck he is.
I don't know who. I don't know who
The
that
modern
is.
day Fabio.
He was meant to be the sex symbol, which is meant to be like wisdom. He's meant to be a really wise kind of sex symbol because he was like he gives a lot of advice to Heather Graham or Charlotte, about you can be attractive. It was like giving relationship advice.
Yeah.
It was so bizarre. This whole film, I was sitting there going, I don't understand what they're trying to get across here.
I I don't even know. Like this was I started watching this and quickly realized it is as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I was
Yeah.
having fun with it for a bit because it's gross. And then like a switch flicked and I could not give a shit about anything. Like I couldn't even have fun with how bad it was anymore. I just got so frustrated with it.
It went from like cheesy Christmas fun to just an absolute mess. So like You've got
Boring.
Charlotte and Rob, who are Jason Briggs and Heather Graham. They're a
Hmm.
married couple. For
Hmm.
whatever reason, they're visiting Brandy or Jackie, and I couldn't work out the connection between Rob and Jackie. Like, were
So yeah,
they?
they dated in college.
Yeah. So why are they? I didn't get why they visited. Like, what's
They didn't
the?
mean to. The kids set the GPS, right? You remember that?
I must have missed that
So
because I was.
so they were meant to be going to Charlotte Sanders' sister's house for Christmas, and the son, uh, I think they're talking about Jackie, and this and Charlotte makes a comment. I would like nothing more than to rock up at her house uninvited and see that her life isn't as perfect as she says it is. And so then the kid's like,
Um,
"Oh, they want nothing." Oh, because she's rich. That's right. And the kid's like, "Oh, I want to go to her house," and Mum wants to go to her house. So he got Mum's GPS and programmed instead of programming it to go to the sister's house, they programmed it to go to Jackie's house. And that's how they rocked up at her house.
um,
And they're like, "Oh, this is awkward. Sorry, we'll leave." And she's like, "No, no, perfect. Come on in into my perfect life." And yeah, that's how it happened.
oh God, I missed that part. No wonder I
No,
was
that's
so
totally
confused.
fair.
I was so confused this whole time. Like, why are they there? And that makes sense why she was like there and then snooping around. Because I was like, I got that they had a history, but I was like, this is so bizarre that what is happening? So Charlotte gets real jealous of Jackie and starts
Yes.
snooping around, trying to prove that her life isn't the same. Then she has this
Uh-huh.
weird like sexual attraction to her, well, Jackie's like partner. And then they have
Hmm.
like a deep and meaningful, like you can be attracted to other people, but it's not the same. And then it reunites Rob and Charlotte's marriage again. There's the events where it's like, oh, look at all this brand new thing. Oh no, you've been snooping around. Like it goes from act one where they set everything up, then they start, hunting around. The comical errors always happen to the conflict that happens. Then there's a resolution. Like it followed the
Oh
exact
yeah,
linear path that you expect,
100%
which is
by the book.
fine. Which is fine. You can do by the book, but you need to do the rest of it by the book or reasonably well as well, not just throw random all sorts in there. Like they've got one kid who's a super genius, like IQ of 40,000.
I'm so sick of this trope recently. It's always a young female character who's just uber intelligent
Like
for no
crazy
reason.
intelligent. And what was with there was a son that died or something or other, and it was like, or that was it like a past the husband that died, and it was his wish that to go up on the balloon, but it's got to be environmentally friendly. So they made
Oh, it
a
was their son.
son. It was a son.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
that was the reveal of, oh, her life isn't so perfect because her son died. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, you want to leap to spectrum ends or what? Go straight from perfect life to son dead. It couldn't just
Yeah.
be like the typical, oh, there's problems with their marriage, or maybe
Oh,
there's money issues, or maybe everything's paid for by Valentino's dad and he's actually an idiot. Like they could have had so much more funny or interesting ways of doing it, but no, her son died, so her life is actually horrible.
uh,
Oh,
then the whole thing that brings everyone back together is Rob writes a newsletter and sends it out to their friends, but Charlotte didn't know about it. And then all of a
yeah.
sudden, because he's been writing this newsletter, I wouldn't read a newsletter.
No, my mum used to do it.
Really? I didn't know this was
Yeah,
a thing. I was like,
and she'd bring it to us and get us to read it as a family, and I always was like, this is dumb. Like she'd spend days on it
yeah,
and make it
right.
all nice and make it pretty and send it out to all the family and stuff at the end of every year.
Wow.
We're all like, this is fucking weird.
I never knew that was a thing, especially with like social media now. Like, this is meant to be set present
Literally,
day. Why are
I
you
was
still
just about to
doing a
say
newsletter?
this was pre-Facebook, but yes, you're right. Like modern day, we keep track of your life anyway via fucking Facebook. We don't need to fucking recap. Last time on
Ooh.
Dragon Ball Z,
Also, if you're on IMDb,
I am.
there seems to be if you scroll down on more like this, there's a movie called Xmas, which is another Christmas one, but they have the
Right.
exact same template
Yep.
that they've used,
Yep.
besides like a Christmas bow. Like,
Yep.
is this the generic Christmas green and red
Of course it is.
split? Is like we're going to see more of these. Like, instead of a rip down it, they've just put a Christmas bow.
Well, the rip is because they're exes, so they've
I'm
been torn
aware,
apart. So
and
I
this
guess it's
one,
always just going to do with. It's always just going to be what's it going to be with the movie? Like the bow is, I guess. I mean, look, I'm reading into it way more than they would have put into it, but the bow to me is symbolic of how her life is all wrapped up and pretty. But no, the bow is just there because it looks nice in their eyes.
yeah,
I'm giving it way more credit than it deserves.
this it was a hard watch. It was,
Very boring.
which is annoying because we've gone from like one good thing to a reality TV show that was shocking
To this that was shocking.
to this. So
Yeah, this was like
this one
so
won award.
cheesy. How's it won any?
It won 2022 winner Refame Stamp feature.
What does that mean?
I don't know. That's what they won. They
Okay.
won a reframe stamp. I don't know what that is.
Reframed stamp.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what the fuck that means.
I don't know what. I don't know how this won any awards besides like maybe it's not even worst Christmas movie. Like it's
There are worse Christmas movies than this.
there
I was
are.
trying to think of it before whether I like this more or the Lindsay Lohan one. I
I'd
think
watch
the
the
Lindsay
Lindsay
Lohan
Lohan
one,
one. I'd watch that
yeah,
over
I
this
think
though.
that's funnier. Like that's grosser and more offensive, therefore it's more funny. Whereas
Yeah.
this was just it's just such a nothing. I could not stand Jackie and how like she was like a fucking uwu Disney princess the whole movie. Like you're a
Yeah.
grown ass fucking woman. Stop acting like this.
No way. This director did Pet Cemetery. I like Pet Cemetery.
In the same vein though, isn't it?
Pet Cemetery. Pet Cemetery is good. Remember the horror film
Damn
back
much
in the
slop.
day?
The writer for this has never written a screenplay before this one. His
Yeah.
IMDb is one title, producer and writer, best Christmas ever. Literally has done nothing else.
Spill. How do you pitch this and go like this would be a really fun movie?
Because Christmas sells. It
Yeah.
will always make money. It's so cheap to make. It costs them probably maybe 5 to 10 million. And then they'll just sell it. And Netflix will make the revenue for it and everything will be fine. Like it's so cheap and it's guaranteed people to sit down and watch it. Christmas movies will always make money. It's like Halloween movies.
No.
That's why they can make so many of these things. They're everywhere. They're easy to make. They all follow the same generic story. And they're dumb fucking Americans that sit down and go, let's watch this. Oh, that was interesting. It was the same as the other Christmas movie we watched last night.
Yeah.
It's yeah. It's a way of making money. Children all
Right.
sucked. I wanted to choke every child in this. They're all just fucking horrible. They're worse than her, worse than Jackie.
I don't know. I know they like Heather Graham, but it was that she
Yeah,
wasn't she wasn't good. She wasn't
I don't
overly
dislike her. Hey, she's
she
great in
wasn't
Scrubs.
she wasn't overly bad. She was also good in Austin Powers.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
the scene where she breaks the dollhouse is such like it's Mr. Bean writing at this point, but done poorly. It's such an easy trope and such an easy black moment in the story. Like, oh, look what she's done.
yep. They needed
And,
something.
they had these titles pop up that were like 4 days before Christmas, 3 days before Christmas. They were so poorly rendered. It looked like it was done on fucking MS Paint and then blown up beyond size and thrown on the screen. And honestly, this movie needed a laugh track because I didn't know when it was meant to be funny. I didn't know when I was meant to laugh. A laugh track would have at least been like, oh, that's kind of like Big Bang Theory. You don't know when to laugh if it's not for the laugh track because what's funny and what isn't. And then this comes up. It's exactly the same to me. This is the same fucking level of comedy.
Yeah, I like the
Yeah,
Big Bang
look, I
Theory.
hated it.
I didn't like this
I
one.
hated this I hated this because I was meant to hate it, and I got as much anger out of it as I was expecting, but it was way more boring than a lot of other bad Christmas movies.
Yep,
It's not even so bad; it's good. It's just very, very, very
it's just
boring.
bad. What would you give it then?
Uh, half.
Okay.
It's down
Yeah.
there with one of the worst things I've seen.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
what's redeeming about it at all.
Yeah. For me, it was a one. It's a one. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd probably watch this over the Squid Games just because it's shorter. But
Okay.
like,
Something else that we reviewed recently that we both said was one of the worst things we'll ever have on the list. Exorcist Believer. Do you like this more than that?
yeah, yeah. So 1.1.
Yeah, no, that was a zero for you. You said Believer was a flat out zero.
Yeah, it sucked.
I've never get anything a zero.
No.
How about Blue Beetle? Blue Beetle was also down there. Is this
Yeah,
more entertaining than that?
I would watch Blue Beetle over this.
Over this?
Oh
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
So that's the system. Like Blue Beetle's better than this, and this is better than Exorcist.
yep, yep,
I can see that.
yep. It's a bit
Yeah,
of a
this was
shit
very bad.
sandwich. But there's nothing real good in that one.
I
Oh,
feel like next week's gonna be a shit sandwich as well.
next week's gonna be it's
I
gonna
mean,
be good.
one great thing, and then two things I'm gonna be like, what the fuck am I even watching?
Well, I've already seen one of next week's one because
Yeah.
I was just waiting for I don't know what I was waiting for. I was waiting for one of them to come out, and I was like, this popped up, and I was like, I'm gonna watch this. But we have Napoleon, which is Joaquin Phoenix's new one, which is Apple TV's newest. Like, do you want to say blockbuster? I'm going to say blockbuster film.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and then we have Netflix's newest attempt. I can't recall if I think it's a TV show. I feel like it's a TV show.
I thought it was a movie.
Could be a movie. Called Obliterated, which looks like the Netflix's attempt at the
Oh, it's season.
Expendables. Yeah.
There you go. I thought it was a
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Damn.
It'll be good. You'll love it. And then this
Um,
this is the thing that I have seen, because it popped up and I was completely confused by it, so I watched it. It is Babezilla versus the Zombie Horde.
Horde spelt with a
Horde.
W. So
Yep.
it's like a play on whores.
Yep. If you Google that, you're gonna look at the
Yeah.
you're gonna look at it and
Speaking of MS Paint.
you're gonna go, what is this? And yeah, I'm not gonna give anything away, but it's
I feel this is not new. I just found out it's from 2022, but
Mhm.
who gives a shit?
Yep.
This
Yep.
looks horrible. Absolutely horrible. You've already seen it. It's so
I've already
funny.
seen it.
Just the images, like
I'm going to tell you
the
now.
font.
It's not a long movie. It
Yeah,
runs total
an
runtime,
hour,
including credits, is 50 minutes.
including credits, is 50. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
credits roll at like 48 minutes.
Oh man, yeah, no, I'm super down. I
Yeah,
haven't watched a So Bad It's Good in a long time.
yeah, yeah.
We'll see how this goes.
But yeah, that's all we got for you this week. So one good thing, two average things, and hopefully next week is going to be a lot of fun. And you know what to do. Make sure you tell your friends, join
Tell
our
your
Discord,
friends.
and we'll see you guys next week. Boys.
Like, comment, and subscribe. I love yous. Bye.
Bye.